Dear students, I welcome you to the presentation on strategy implementation in multiple markets. In this session, we will try to understand the benefits and bottlenecks of operating in multiple markets and strategic planning process in multiple markets. Let's begin with understanding the need for globalization. Any firm can go global and serve multiple markets to gain competitive advantage and leverage apart from serving their domestic markets. Globalization is a process by which people are united into a single society. This can be possible only with the favorable support of all business environment components like political, economic, social, technological, legal, and ecological factors. Globalization encourages import and export, and at the same time helps to attract financial investments into the country. It promotes the firm to go for technological advancements and gives competitive advantage to the firms. It enables the firms to enter into multiple markets and satisfy the needs of the consumers by offering their expected products and services. Globalization has offered opportunities to gain new customers overseas, to achieve lower cost through overseas operations, and to achieve economies of scale. Global business can be undertaken through exports, licensing products in favor of overseas partners, franchising, functional subsidiaries, and joint ventures. Now let's see the benefits of operating in multiple markets through globalization. They are: the first benefit of operating in multiple markets by the way of practicing globalization is that it involves lower labor cost. The lower labor cost in underdeveloping and developing countries can help to get employees trained equally well for all the skills needed to perform the job. Accordingly, the firms can plan for carrying out labor intensive operations in these countries to take advantage of the cost. Secondly, it has the potential for yielding high rate of return on investment. The firms resort to enter into multiple markets for the reason being that it is able to garner more profits when it performs its business operations in those countries where the cost is low. Therefore, marketing the product in multiple markets leads to higher rate of return on investment. Thirdly, it offers the scope for expanded markets. Firms can have expanded market through offering its products and services both in domestic and foreign markets. The fourth benefit is the availability of capital resources. A firm can enjoy business advantage when it plans to enter into multiple markets through strategic alliances, mergers, acquisitions, takeovers, or joint ventures. Lastly, it helps to make use of available natural resources in the multiple markets, thereby leading to sustainability in the business. Therefore, entry into multiple markets can encourage the firms to have better access to raw materials, resources, technology, and other support factors, along with plowing business profits and sustainability in the business. Having known about the advantages of operating in multiple markets, let's now focus on understanding the risk involved in serving multiple markets. There is a higher chance for loss of assets in foreign markets. Political tussles, civil wars as in Syria, and public unrest can set a severe disturbance to the smooth functioning of the business in a foreign country. They may provide an insecure business environment for the firms to sustain their business in the trouble-torn country. Secondly, change in political government can lead to unfavorable business policy and stringent regulations, causing difficulty in operating and continuing the business. Thirdly, there might be difficulty in retrieving the earnings. Certain countries have stringent foreign exchange laws and regulations, and these are likely to change the international balance of payment status and foreign exchange reserves. The foreign market will not allow the firm to take the earnings back to the home country. Yet, another risk is the availability of poor facilities in the underdeveloped countries. Even though the advent of computers and the satellite communication has expanded the communication network, in most of the underdeveloped countries, the technological advancements are too poor. Next, having discussed about the risk involved, let's discuss about the bottlenecks in operating with multiple markets. multinational corporations and the host country should operate in win-win situation for both the countries. They should mutually benefit out of the relationship between the two countries. When the multinational country looks for new markets in other countries for expansion, growth and profits, the host improvement in the standard of living of people, income generating power, employment potential, development of local resources, trained and skilled labor force and the technology transfer. On the other hand, the multinational companies also resort to inhumane practices and result into hardships for the host country. The commonly encountered problems in the multiple markets are extract excessive profits because of their monopolistic advantages, domination of the local economy through influencing the price of the product, restriction of their presence in those markets with less financial advantage, difficulty in the appointment of key personnel in the foreign market by home-based employees, and the interference with the local governments of the underdeveloped countries for the benefit of seeking advantages like resources support, tax benefits, and so on. Having discussed about the bottlenecks in operating in multiple markets, let's move on to see the strategic planning process in multiple markets. Strategic planning is a management tool to look at the future and see tomorrow's opportunities or challenges to gain competitive position in multiple markets. It requires strategic thinking. What is strategic thinking? Strategic thinking is the matching of opportunities with corporate resources in order to envision the future direction that leads to improved corporate performance and enhanced competitive advantage. This process involves the following systematic steps. The first step is to define the organizational vision and mission. A very vital component to any strategic plan is the vision and mission of the company. Vision refers to the future direction of the company, while mission represents the concept of the business. They define the company's purpose, provide direction for future growth, and may indicate the strengths of the company. They form the basis for formulating the objectives and goals of the company. The second step is involved in assessing the strengths and weakness of the firm to operate in multiple markets. George Ip has identified 4 sets of industry globalization drivers that ensures success for the firms to operate in multiple markets. These drivers are the strengths to the company in the form of market advantage, favorable economic policies, competitive advantage, and the government policies. The primary purpose of this analysis is to match the company's managerial, technical, material, and financial resources with those required for successful global business in multiple markets. Having assessed the strengths and weakness of the firm to operate in multiple markets, the next step is to analyze the home environment, host environment, and the international environment. Before any strategy can be formulated, it's important and vital to analyze the environment in the home country, host country, and the international environment for the country in which the business is planned. The analysis of the international economic environment will reveal the size of gross national product per capita, their projected growth rates, inflation, employment, interest rates, prevailing wage rates, foreign exchange position, and demographic details. Political environment will reveal the form and stability of the government, attitude of the government towards private and foreign investment, etc. Social factor will reveal the customer preference, value systems, attitudes, belief patterns, religions, traditions, language, lifestyle, and so on. Technological environment will be the deciding factor for the expansion of the business, as the firm's survival will depend on its ability to adopt the cutting-edge technology in the business. When you see the legal factors, it will help the firm to understand various legislations and procedural formalities in operating the global business. Coming to ecological factors, they will reveal about the availability of raw materials and other initiatives to protect the environment. After the environment appraisal is done, the firms resort to setting objectives to succeed in global business. After the analysis of corporate strength and weakness in multiple markets, the next step is involved in setting up strategic objectives for expansion and benchmark. Strategic objectives are the desired results to be achieved for the kind of efforts taken with available capabilities. Benchmarking is the exercise of setting the standards for performance after making comparison with the competitors. One of the objectives for the firm is to be a successful market leader operating in multiple markets. Multi-market strategy adopted by the firm can be in various forms based on the pressures for local responsiveness and cost pressures. They are multi-domestic strategy, international strategy, global strategy, and transnational strategy. Let's now look in detail into each one. To begin with, what is multi-domestic strategy? It is aimed by global companies to give local responsiveness, wherein the company establishes semi-autonomous national units in various countries in which it functions and produces customized products to serve local markets in different countries. The structure preferred by companies that adopt multi-domestic strategy is global area structure, wherein all value creation activities are duplicated in different countries. Decision-making authority is decentralized to each foreign division so that local needs could be catered to managers in foreign division. This strategy is based on differentiation, which brings different products to different markets to meet the customer's requirement accordingly. The second operation strategy in multiple markets is the international strategy. Companies following an international strategy usually add one foreign operations department to their existing structure in the domestic country. An international strategy is based on R&D and marketing being centralized at home country, all other value creation functions being centralized to national units. The international division has to coordinate with all other departments to satisfy the foreign market. In this setup, there is no attempt at customization of the product offering. International operations are managed as a separate division, and the managers are given authority and responsibility for coordinating domestic product division and foreign market. The main drawback in this strategy is that firms cannot enjoy the cost advantage obtained through global presence and cannot customize products to suit local customers in global markets. The third operational strategy is the global strategy. The firm that has global strategy locates its manufacturing operations and all the other value creation activities in the lowest cost global location to enhance efficiency, quality, and innovation. It offers standardized product to the global market suited for all customers. Global Product Group facilitates the transfer of resources and competencies among its divisions. It has a centralized control by the corporate headquarters. Within each product group, a headquarter is evolved in order to coordinate the domestic and foreign divisions. This type of strategy offers cost advantage to the firm and adds to the competitive advantage. Now, coming to the fourth operational strategy in multiple markets, it is the transnational strategy. The firms which adopt transnational strategy tend to achieve both low cost and high local responsiveness in domestic market and global market. Functions are centralized at the optimum global country and others are decentralized to achieve local responsiveness and competitive advantage in other host country markets. Thus, it has an individual company in each of the foreign country. This is characterized by local flexibility, sharing of knowledge and experience among geographic regions, divisions, and good contact between domestic and foreign managers. It has a strong international culture to support communication and coordination among managers. It involves high establishment and bureaucratic cost, but yet it is the most profitable strategy to operate in multiple markets. Having understood the various strategies of operating in global markets, let's now discuss about the different strategies for multiple market. The main purpose of any strategy, whether it is focused on domestic operations or in international business, is dealing with the competition and achieving the organizational goals. The choice of the strategy for international operations would depend upon external and internal environment of the host and may differ from one geographical area to another. Some of the strategies available for the companies to enter into multiple markets are import and export. The easiest and simplest way to enter into multiple markets is through the import and exports. Importing is buying goods and services produced in a foreign country, and exporting is selling goods or services to customers in a foreign country. Since no country can survive on its own, almost every country is involved in import or export. The transactions are done through commercial banks, and hence there is very little risk involved. The difference in value between a country's total exports and its total imports is called the balance of trade. When exports exceed imports, a favorable balance of trade results, and vice versa. The second strategy is licensing agreement and franchising. In this type of agreement, a company in a host country may enter into a binding agreement with the company in the home country, by which the host country organization can produce and sell products under licensing, which is the right to use brand name, product specifications, patents, copyrights, and so on for a fee. Franchising is a form of licensing in which a franchisee can operate a business much like the original firm, but retain its own profit after the payment of a particular sum to the owner. It has the advantage of enjoying common promotion, internal design, common brand name, and products. It promises to go rapidly within a short time with a minimum outlay of cash. The third strategy is the signing of management contracts. Management contracts involve simply providing managerial talents, including talent expertise, to the foreign operating company for a fee. The fourth strategy is the joint venture. Joint venture involves collaborations with the local organizations or even the government in a foreign country in order to establish operations for producing a product or service for mutual benefit. This means sharing of management and manufacturing capabilities and expertise with the foreign company. This also means sharing of risk and rewards as well. When the resources are combined together, it results into a new entity which is quite different from its parents. Each firm brings its own resources like finance, managerial talents, and technical advancements to share the benefits. The fifth strategy is the turnkey projects. This means that an organization in a home country provides all services to the organization in the home country to start a project such as a power plant, cement plant, automobile unit, and so on, from the very beginning of the design stage to the operational level of the plant. This includes designing, building, operating and training the workforce to take over the project completely. This is done for mutually agreed upon fee or royalty for the home country. Now coming to the sixth strategy, it is the wholly owned subsidiaries. These are wholly owned branches of a parent company operating in foreign countries. The parent company has the sole managerial authority to operate the subsidiary with the laws of the country where it is located. It makes the total investment and reaps the benefit to itself. The disadvantage, of course, is the possibility of political changes which can result in changes in laws that can be detrimental to the subsidiaries. After wholly owned subsidiaries, it is the acquisitions and takeovers. Under acquisition strategy, one firm takes the control of another firm either as a whole or its significant part. This is done through mutual agreement between the two companies. If it's against the wishes of the acquiring company, it's termed as hostile takeover. It has become a significant growth strategy because of business structuring of many firms in today's business. Acquiring existing organizations' products or resources has a strong advantage of quick entry into the planned market, and at the same time making it easy to get the licenses, patents, technological advancements, distribution intermediaries, and so on. The next route to enter into multiple markets is the mergers or amalgamations. It is combining one company with another for certain business advantages like quick entry into the business, faster growth rate, easy diversification with established base, reduction in market competition, tax benefits, and enjoying synergy in operating the business. Strategic alliances is yet another option of entering into global markets. It is also the form of combining the efforts of two or more organizations to develop competitive advantage. In this form, two or more firms join hands together for achieving certain specified objectives for a specified period of time. When these objectives are achieved, the firms terminate their alliance. There is no contribution of finance from the partners. It mutually supports the operation of each other's business and benefit together. It can be to seek support in the use of technology, production operations, logistics, joint advertisement, customer services, and so on. Lastly, foreign direct investment helps the firm to enter into multiple markets. Export and import of products invite additional costs such as tax and transportation costs. Instead, locating a manufacturing center directly in the overseas market can help to carry on business in a foreign market and gain competitive advantage over a period of time. The next step involved in strategic planning process is the strategy implementation in multiple markets. The implementation process of formulated strategy requires putting strategies into actions. Successful strategy formulation alone does not yield success. If the strategy cannot be translated into action, then the resources and efforts used are wasted. Strategy implementation therefore refers to the way a company structures itself in order to execute its strategic plan efficiently and achieve its objectives. Strategy implementation is achieved through organizational design and structure. It is the way in which the firm selects its arrangements and design that will help it to achieve the formulated strategy efficiently and effectively. It is concerned with assigning tasks and responsibilities to the concerned individuals responsible for implementing the strategies. When you see organizational design, it deals with the selection of organizational structures and control systems that will assure the application of the company's strategy effectively and create the competitive advantage. The organization therefore should adopt a combination of structure and control systems that improve quality, create value, reduce cost, and improve communication. Management should find out how to encourage the employees and provide them with incentives to achieve efficiency, quality, innovation, and customer satisfaction. They should learn to coordinate employee activities so that they work effectively together to implement strategy that increases the company's competitive position. Organizational design and control shape the way people behave and determine how they will act in the organizational setting. Strategy implementation is the action that converts the strategic plan into action. Creating a favorable environment and support system is the most important requisite for successful strategy implementation. Bosman et al. Suggested that strategy implementation should focus on 4 critical factors. These elements are the organizational structure, corporate culture, human resources, and organizational rewards. The relationship between these factors and the organizational strategy has a great impact on the outcome of strategy implementation. To sum up, we have seen the strategic implementation in multiple markets, touching upon the benefits accrued, risk involved, and the bottlenecks faced in serving multiple markets. Followed by, we have discussed in length about the steps involved in strategic planning process in multiple markets. In toto, the political, economic, social, technological, legal and ecological factors have encouraged the firms to go for multiple markets following international, multinational, transnational and global strategy. It has created a favorable climate for the firms to enter into multiple markets with minimum risk of losing their investments. Hence, implementing the choice of the strategy in multiple markets can make the firms profitable, help them to exploit economies of scale, utilize the strengths of the foreign country, diversify their business, lengthen the product life cycle, attract financial investments and so on. Hope this module has supported with you in understanding the various dimensions of strategy implementation in multiple markets, and it has given you a good learning experience. Thank you so much for your wonderful support. Wish you all the best.